My name's Amata, and in this Red Gaming Tech video I'm here with the latest from the tech world in the last 24 or so hours. So what do I have for you today, my friends? Well, remember that whole ASRock thing where they said, hey guys, we're going to be entering the GPU market? Well, now we know what with, as they have announced their GPU lineup. The second item for today is going to be regarding Nvidia, as have temporarily halted self-driving tests. Then we're going to move on to a bit of a leak, with the ASUS Zephyrus, which has a i7-8750H and a GTX 1080. Then we're going to be moving on to Samsung, as they're going to be doubling NAND memory output. And then finally we have some comments from AMD, who have come forward to correct some estimates from a recent analyst regarding crypto mining. So as I said, let's begin things with ASRock. So of course a while ago we had that tease from ASRock where they were basically saying that they're going to be entering the graphics card market, and all it really revealed to us was that that lineup was going to be called Phantom Gaming, and now we actually know what the lineup is actually going to consist of for the moment, and it's going to be based on the entire AMD Radeon RX 500 series. So of course this is the RX 580, 570, 560 and of course the 550. But it's also going to bring some tweaks with it, as a custom AIB GPU tends to do, and it's going to have a signature phantom cooler as well as a custom board design. And your ears might be perking up going, ooh, what about these fans? Tell me more. And I would tell you that, well, it makes use of dual ball bearing fans and are topped on top of a extra large copper based aluminum alloy composite heat pipe heatsink, which apparently is going to give us some really nice cooling performance. And as you might expect, the higher end variants are most likely going to have the double fan arrangement, whereas the lower end ones are going to have a single fan arrangement. But we do have a bit of a statement here from Mr. LL Shu, who is the ASRock Chief Executive Officer. And he said, quote, ASRock finally expanded the graphics card field. We are happy and proud to team up with AMD, our strong and reliable partner. And of course, we look forward to bringing out more interesting and competitive products in the future. So of course this is just what they have for the moment. They're kicking things off with the 500 series, which is a fairish place to start, I will grant you, but obviously are going to probably spread their wings further into AMD's lineup, and perhaps maybe we'll go with Nvidia in the future, but judging from that statement it does look like we're going to be seeing them stick with AMD for the moment. So let's talk specs after all that, shall we? Let's begin with the Phantom Gaming X Radeon RX 580 8GOC. That's a lot of X's. That's how you know it's good. When something gaming has a lot of X's, like triple X, it's always good. Always reliable. So first up, of course, we're going to do, as I said, the 580, and we have core clock and a memory of overclocked mode being 1435 MHz and 8320 MHz. Default mode being 1380 MHz and 8000 MHz. That being, of course, core clock and memory respectively. And I also have silent mode as well, which is going to be 1324 MHz and 7680 MHz. It's going to have 8 GB of GDDR5, and as I said, it already has double ball bearings fan design and supports up to 8K. We'll have 3 display ports, HDMI and DVI, and of course it's going to come with the usual array of tweaking tools, including temperature and fan speed, and clock tweak, voltage tweak, all that sort of stuff. So this is going to be for those who like to overclock. Obviously, it's not going to be like, you know, overclocker's wet dream or anything like that, but it does come with all the stuff that you might expect to get your overclocking groove on. So with that said, let's move on to the 570 specs. So again, this is going to be core clock and memory clock respectively. On overclock mode we have 1331 MHz and 7280 MHz. Then on default mode we have 1280 to 7000 MHz, and on silent mode we have 1228 MHz to 6720. And of course all the other features do remain the same. Once again, 8 gigs of GDDR5. And we have an overclock mode 1194 MHz and 6240. We have 1149 and 6000. We have 1103 and 5760. And then we see, of course, a decrease in the amount of GDDR5 available. We have only 2 GB available. And we also have only a single display port as well. And before we call this section, let's end things out with the specs for the 550. So we have in overclock mode 1144 MHz to 6240, and then in default we have 1100 to 6000, and then in silent mode we have 1056 to 5760, and once again we have 2 gigs of GDDR5 and a single display port once more. So not too shabby, a decent enough entry into the graphics card market, obviously not blowing our socks off just yet, but who knows what they got cooking. Maybe they're going to be releasing what AMD have in the pipeline following on from Vega, or maybe they don't. We'll have to wait and see, but there you have it if you're curious what they're up to. That's pretty much confirmed. So, as I said, let's move things on to Nvidia. Now, you have probably seen the item in the news recently about the Uber vehicle that suffered a crash over in Arizona. And now it has been confirmed that this particular self-driving car was running Nvidia hardware. Now, apparently this didn't make use of Nvidia Drive, but the hardware capability was acquired by Uber on off-the-shelf acquisition, and it was of course Nvidia hardware. So basically you had Nvidia's hardware inside, but the software stack actually controlling that hardware was Uber's own creation. So do keep that in mind, but of course it was Nvidia's hardware inside, but you could argue, hey, if the software isn't up to snuff, and there's definitely going to be a lot of investigation as to what happened here and all that sort of stuff. Now, due to this, the company has decided to put a temporary stop to self-driving tests using its technology. So basically, they're doing this while the investigations are carried out. We figure out, what exactly went wrong, where the fault lies, that sort of thing, and then they'll maybe continue. And obviously, if it was a fault with Nvidia's hardware or if it was Uber's software, either way, something needs to be corrected so that, of course, we don't see something like this happen again. Obviously, accidents will happen in life. That's just the reality of things. But it's good that they're doing this because it shows they don't have a sort of laissez-faire attitude towards this. It's obviously important to get the safety stuff as right as possible. So, yeah, basically they're just pausing tests for the moment. Anyway, let's move swiftly on to the ASUS Zephyrus. So we have a bit of a short and sweet one here, as we have a Zephyrus lineup receiving an update to the i7-8750H based Coffee Lake, and we have a notebook having been leaked thanks to video cards, which is again going to have the 8750H inside and is going to clock up to 4.1 gigahertz. Now, unsurprisingly, this thing ain't cheap. It's about £3,000 or 3,500 euros. So, yeah, this is not for your low end. This is obviously going to be a gaming laptop. And given that it has a GTX 1080 as well inside, as well as 16 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM, you can kind of see why this laptop is so expensive. Because obviously, yeah, this tech at a PC, desktop PC, would be expensive, but it wouldn't be £3,000. But you're always paying above the premium for laptop technology, which is why I always say when a friend of mine goes, "Oh, I need to buy a new laptop," my first question is, do you actually need the mobility though? Because, you could get a really good PC for half of what you would pay. Anywho, with that over, let's move on to Samsung and NAND memory. So basically, Samsung have said that they're going to be doubling their NAND memory output capacity in China. Now, this is going to be a $7 billion investment from them. So, just something you find in your back pocket or down the back of the sofa. But Samsung is expecting from this a doubling, roughly, of production capacity from current values to 220,000, which is going to be 300mm 3D flash memory wafers by 2020. Could this possibly mean a decrease in pricing for NAND memory? I mean, it's possible, but that problem doesn't seem to be going away. We've heard all this talk from memory companies like, yeah, we're on the case. Like, a lot of them, Samsung, Micro, and all these guys are like, yeah, this is an issue, to say the least, because this is, becoming a problem for us as well. The constant, like, oh my god, we can't keep up with the amount of memory that we need to produce, and obviously driving prices up, and obviously driving the prices of the parts that you need to purchase in order to make the damn things is probably going up as well. So, I'm sure we'd all love for this to cease. I mean, obviously they're enjoying the extra profits, but in terms of a gaming perspective or a general user's perspective, can you just stop memory? Thanks. That'd be great. But I'm not going to count my chickens just yet, hopefully. But, again, we'll see. So, finally, let's move on to AMD and crypto mining. So you may recall that there was a statement from a Susquehanna analyst, Christopher Rowland, just the other day, who basically reclassified AMD and Nvidia's share targets and investment ratings. And AMD was actually rated more, well, I should say AMD was kind of hit more negatively by this than Nvidia. And that was basically due to the argument that a negative downturn on the GPU market was basically going to hit AMD harder. And you may recall that I myself mentioned that this was due to the entrance into the market of Ethereum specific ASICs. Now, just to kind of refresh your memory, it was 20% worse, sorry, 20% on AMD and 10% on Nvidia, that being the effect that it was going to have on the company. And basically AMD have come up with a rebuttal to this report, and basically they have reminded investors and customers that, quote, "We, AMD, would also like to keep it in perspective with the multiple other growth opportunities ahead for AMD. Yesterday, a report was published on AMD which hypothesized very high revenue for Ethereum-related GPU sales. As a reminder, on our Q4 17 earnings conference call, we stated that the percentage of annual revenue related to blockchain was approximately mid-single-digit percentage in 2017. We had significant growth in the GPU business outside of blockchain in Q4 17 as we ramped up our Radeon Vega products, our GPU compute products, and our Apple business. We also spoke about strength across the rest of our business with AMD Ryzen and AMD EPYC product momentum. We have a very compelling long-term drivers for the company, including PCs, servers, and graphics, and our Q1 2018 financial guidance reflects that. We appreciate the time and attention that investors continue to pay to blockchain and cryptocurrency, but we'd also like to keep it in perspective." Basically, AMD have kind of gone, nah mate, incorrect, because, as I said in much less words, hey, we have all this other stuff too, and if you actually look at what we said regarding our financials, cryptocurrency and all of that only accounted for a small percentage of their actual growth. So yes, obviously they would see a hit if all these ASICs take off and people stop buying up all the gaming GPUs from AMD and Nvidia to do their mining, and instead of buying these ASICs, which obviously would be great for gamers because it means the GPU price would finally decrease, but regardless of that, they would obviously take a hit, but that hit would be fairly minimal if you are to take AMD's word for it here. So yeah, a bit of sort of nah. So obviously we're going to have to wait and see as to what actually happens. It could be that Christopher Rowland was correct and these ASICs actually result in a huge downturn for AMD, or we could see AMD being correct and a small hit being taken but not really much to write home about, or we could see a kind of middle ground between the two. But this is AMD's rebuttal to it, and to be fair, it is a good point that, hey, yeah, cryptocurrency is definitely a thing that is on our minds right now, but it's far from our sole driving factor at the moment. So let me know your thoughts on this one, guys. I'm curious to see your opinions, which side you fall on. Do you fall on the side of the analyst, do you fall on the side of AMD, or are you just sitting there in the bleachers eating popcorn with myself? Let me know your opinions, guys. You've heard me talk for almost 13 minutes now, going over 13 minutes just as I say that. Your support is always appreciated. Do remember to like and subscribe, and of course check us out over on Patreon at patreon.com/redgamingtech if you'd be so inclined, and I'll see you next time.